Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the final edition of NoDQ&A video until after WrestleMania 33. That's right, this is the end of the road to WrestleMania. We are almost there. Orlando, Florida, WrestleMania 33, the ultimate thrill ride. NoDQ.com, of course, has you covered with all the latest news and rumors regarding WrestleMania. Stay tuned to NoDQ all weekend for that. Check out the other videos on the YouTube channel. Check out the WrestleMania predictions, the NXT TakeOver predictions, Talk Wrestling special WrestleMania edition with the NoDQ panel. Now that I got all that out of the way, let's get down to your questions from twitter.com/AaronRift. First one today comes from Paul Jackson with the legendary Freddie Mercury in his avatar. Hey Aaron, now that the Raw Tag Team titles will be decided in a ladder match, could the Hardys be revealed as a fourth team? Absolutely, I would not rule that out as a possibility. The word is the Hardys are expected to debut in WWE, or should I say re-debut in WWE at any time. They could appear as soon as WrestleMania. I think it could go either way. Maybe they'll show up. Maybe WWE will hold off on them until Raw or SmackDown. There's a lot of possibilities, and I think anything is possible at this point. I think it would be awesome to see the Hardy Boys at WrestleMania, and it sure is interesting that all of a sudden this Raw Tag Team title match is now a ladder match, which is the Hardy Boys' specialty. We've seen WWE make several references to the Hardys on social media, using the broken phrase, using the wonderful phrase. It's really interesting to see if the Hardy Boys will in fact show up at WrestleMania. I'll believe it when I see it though. I'm not getting my hopes up that it's going to happen. I think it would be a very nice surprise though if we got to see the Broken Hardys at WrestleMania. Will they be broken? I'm certainly hopeful that they'll at least be a hybrid of the old WWE characters combined with the TNA characters. I could see that realistically happening. Hopefully we'll get to see some aspect of the broken gimmick on WWE television. You know, if they show up at WrestleMania or Raw, you're going to get the fans doing the delete chants anyways. So it would make for very entertaining television for sure. And speaking of potential returns, this one comes from Smrtaza A. Shah. Do you think Finn Balor will return at Raw after WrestleMania as Sheamus did in 2015? I think that is a strong possibility. Finn Balor is cleared to return. He has been cleared to wrestle. He's been competing at WWE live events over the past few weeks, but WWE has not brought him back since they did not have a match for him at WrestleMania. And that makes sense. If you do not have a high-profile match for Finn Balor at WrestleMania, then why throw him in a random match like the Andre the Giant Battle Royal? If he is going to be portrayed as a top star, you might as well save him for a big spot for him to return. Now, maybe he will appear during the Triple H Seth Rollins match. I talked about this during the predictions video that Samoa Joe could very well show up on Triple H's behalf, and then Finn Balor makes the save and evens the odds. Although a lot of people have pointed out that Finn Balor and Seth Rollins were enemies last time Finn Balor was on WWE TV. That, of course, could be ignored, and Finn Balor could just be coming to the aid of his fellow good guy in WWE, and he could bury the hatchet with his own nemesis. I could see Finn Balor possibly returning at WrestleMania, or I could see him returning at Raw. Either way, I would expect to see Balor either back at WrestleMania as a surprise or the next night on Raw in Orlando, Florida. Got this one here from Mr. Yuck. It seems like 2017 is the return era with Shelton Benjamin, Kurt Angle, Hardys, and Goldberg. Will this help or weigh down establishing new stars? I think it will enhance WWE for the most part in terms of getting more eyeballs to sample the product. The key is, with WrestleMania, I think it's really important for a rising star to be showcased heavily at WrestleMania, so when WrestleMania is over, Ideally, you have first-time viewers, people sampling WWE for the first time, or lapsed fans that are tuning in for the first time in a long time because they want to see their old favorite like Goldberg compete one more time. You want those fans, those potential fans, to tune in and be blown away by one of the new rising stars. You know, they see somebody who is an up-and-comer that they really take a liking to, and they decide to keep watching the show past WrestleMania. That's why I think it's really important for WrestleMania to be a showcase for the younger stars, and for the younger stars to really stand out at WrestleMania. I think that that is what is really the most important thing to do if you want people to stick around after WrestleMania. So I do not see a problem with bringing in past stars from a different era back to WWE, but I think it's important that when you have those extra eyeballs tuning in, that you really elevate the younger stars and get those new fans or those old fans interested in the younger talent and the new stars. This one comes from Chris. Hey Aaron, now that Shelton Benjamin is cleared, could you see him going for the IC title when he returns? I could definitely see that as a possibility. I think we will probably see Shelton Benjamin on SmackDown as originally intended when he was scheduled to make his return prior to injury. I could see Baron Corbin winning the IC title at WrestleMania, and then Shelton Benjamin coming back and challenging Corbin for the IC title, and you could really have Shelton Benjamin be a guy that can work with Corbin and help elevate Corbin and take Corbin to the next level. That could definitely help Corbin a lot to work with an established veteran like Shelton Benjamin. I think that that would be a good way to utilize Benjamin and use him to help elevate one of the future stars. So I could definitely see something like that happening where Benjamin challenges Corbin for the IC title after WrestleMania. Would not surprise me at all, and quite frankly, I think it's a great idea. I think WWE should definitely consider doing something like that, putting Benjamin in there with one of their rising stars like Baron Corbin. Got this one here from James. After SmackDown Live, the match I'm looking forward to the most is Miz and Maurice versus Cena and Nikki Bella. What a segment. Your thoughts? I agree with you. I think that the Total Bellas parody segments were fantastic. I think Miz was hilarious. I mean, I do not laugh at stuff on WWE television that often, but I legitimately laughed out loud when The Miz showed up on his knees, walking around as Daniel Bryan with the fake beard. That was incredible. Excellent performance by The Miz, and John Cena has just been excellent with his promos. John Cena has always had good comebacks for The Miz, and this past week was no exception. Now, granted, he did bury Miz's movie, which is a WWE studio production, which is it's pretty funny that WWE is essentially burying itself. But Cena did a tremendous job with his delivery, and yeah, he did call The Miz a pussy, and he said that Miz and Maurice were the it couple. So Cena is using the profanity to get a pop, which, you know, if anybody could use the profanity Cena used, they would probably get a pop. But Cena's delivery is second to none. I mean, I don't think there's anybody in WWE that can deliver the lines like John Cena can. When it comes to delivery of his promos, John Cena always delivers. He is one of the best in the business. He is really good at going out there and just the passion that he has when he cuts a promo. I mean, there's nobody like John Cena. Very few people in WWE history that have the passion that John Cena does on the mic. And The Miz has really stepped it up. The Miz has been unbelievable. So both guys took a match that a lot of people were dreading at first and has made it one of the most anticipated matches for WrestleMania. It really goes to show how great John Cena and The Miz have been. Hats off to them for putting on excellent performances, getting people hyped up for this match. I mean, they've really done, they've really earned their paychecks, let's just put it that way. This one comes from KJ. Hey Aaron, any crazy stipulations for certain wins and losses like Zack Ryder winning at WrestleMania 32? Well, KJ, if you've been paying attention to the last several videos, I have, in fact, made a stipulation for WrestleMania. If Roman Reigns officially turns heel during his match with The Undertaker, I will dye my hair pink, and at least for one video, I will have pink hair. And I will also do that if John Cena turns heel at WrestleMania. If John Cena gets on his knees and proposes to Nikki, and then it's a swerve and John Cena gives Nikki the AA, I will dye my hair pink. Hell, I'll even... If John Cena gives Nikki the AA and turns heel at WrestleMania, I'll grow out my beard again and dye my beard pink. So I'll add that. I'll add that to the stipulation for WrestleMania. But, you know, people are asking me all sorts of different things to do with stipulations. Last year, I completely wasted it with Zack Ryder because it meant absolutely nothing to NoDQ.com site traffic. I'm only doing a stipulation. I'm only honoring a stipulation if it's something that is going to blow up NoDQ.com servers with insane amount of traffic. Roman Reigns turning heel would accomplish that. Same thing with John Cena turning heel. NoDQ.com, I mean, everyone would be buzzing about it, and it would be great for my business. So if that happens, one of those two heel turns happens at WrestleMania, then I'm fine with embarrassing myself for the sake of getting a lot of traffic and having some good business for a WrestleMania weekend. This one comes from Daniel Jobber. So should James Ellsworth just become solo entertainment enhancement talent like Bo Dallas used to be? Quite frankly, I think WWE just needs to let Ellsworth go. You know, I hate to see the guy lose his job, but I think the character is played out. I think the character was played out a while ago. It had its purpose for a few months as a babyface sympathetic character. It had the momentum, but then when they turned him heel, it was essentially the equivalent to when they had Colin Delaney turn heel on ECW. It just ruined the character, and the character really served no purpose. He's done absolutely nothing to enhance Carmella's character. They could have done something with Carmella, but it's really going nowhere. The whole thing is a joke at this point, and I really do not care about Ellsworth as a character. I do not care about Carmella as a character. I have no emotional investment in either character at this point. I think it's time to just cut your losses and get rid of the character altogether. There's really no point. It's just pure filler. Even as far as being a Bo Dallas-like character, I'd rather Bo Dallas just go to SmackDown and, well, quite frankly, with Bo Dallas, I'd like to see him join up with Bray and be taken seriously. But yeah, I think it's time to just get rid of the James Ellsworth character. I think it's really played out. This one comes from Sean T. Flick. What are your thoughts on Bad Blood returning to the pay-per-view schedule? Doesn't the name go against PG? Rhetorical. To me, it's just a figure of speech. It's not that big of a deal. Bad Blood just means two people that have an issue with each other. You know, you have a feud between two people. They have bad blood. It doesn't mean that there's going to be blood on a pay-per-view. It never really meant that there was going to be blood on pay-per-view in its history. Yes, there were Bad Blood pay-per-views that had blood on them, but it wasn't done on purpose. It was just the way things were done in WWE. It's just the way things ended up being. I have no problem with Bad Blood coming back as a pay-per-view. To me, it's a fine pay-per-view name, and it's not that offensive in my opinion. I mean, WWE used to have Armageddon. Armageddon was probably the most offensive, if you even want to call it offensive. I guess the name is scary to children, but even Armageddon I don't think is that bad of a name. I think WWE was silly to get rid of the name when they went PG. So Bad Blood, I mean, compared to Armageddon, I think Bad Blood is very tame. I do not see that as a big deal, and we still see blood on WWE television fairly often because guys get cut open the hard way, and especially when somebody like Brock Lesnar has a match, you get blood. And, you know, it's not that big of a deal. I think people are overreacting to it. This one comes from Michael. Hey Aaron, what has been your favorite WrestleMania stage of all time? We did talk about this on the Talk Wrestling panel special, which you can check out on the NoDQ YouTube channel. But I'll go ahead and mention it again here on NoDQ&A video. It's a bit biased, but I really liked the WrestleMania 21 WrestleMania Goes Hollywood set. I thought that that was an awesome stage. I like the WrestleMania 20 stage. As far as the stadium stages go, WrestleMania 17 was really cool. And I think in recent years, I like the WrestleMania 29 stage. I believe the WrestleMania 29 stage was the most expensive stage WWE ever produced, with the Golden Gate Bridge and the Statue of Liberty above the ring. That was really elaborate, and it looked spectacular. This year's stage with the roller coaster theme park setup, that might end up topping WrestleMania 29. That very well could end up being WWE's most extravagant stage that they've ever put together, that they've ever built. So we'll see. But yeah, I would say 20, 21, or 29 would be my top picks. Got this one here from Michael. Out of all the Kiss My Ass Club segments, what was your favorite Vince Kiss My Ass moment? Of course, the original is always great. William Regal with his facial expressions reacting to kissing Vince's ass. I mean, that was hilarious. That was very funny. And, of course, Vince getting the tables turned on him when The Rock brought out Rikishi and had Vince join the Rikishi Kiss My Ass Club. Vince getting a taste of his own medicine was a classic moment. So those would be my two. The first one, and then Rikishi getting Vince to have a taste of his own medicine. This one comes from Rooster. Hey Aaron, considering you're on the road to NoDQ 1000, what was your opinion on the 1000th episode of Raw? And he is a first-time asker. Honestly, I do not have that many memories of that Raw. I believe Undertaker and Kane reunited on that show. I think the biggest angle was the CM Punk heel turn. And I think it was a good idea to turn Punk heel, even though the crowd was really into him. And that was WWE's plan, to have Punk turn heel so he would drop the title to The Rock. And they basically set up the Royal Rumble match at that Raw 1000. I thought it was a good angle. And I think CM Punk as world champion freshened up his title reign. You know, he was already WWE champion for, what was it, 7 or 8 months at that point. And he was a babyface champion. So for him to be heel, it kept his title run fresh. And I think it was the right move to turn him heel, even though it led to him putting over The Rock and then putting over Cena on Raw and then putting over The Undertaker and maybe getting Punk frustrated and wanting to leave the company. Who knows? Maybe that was part of the reason, because he felt the heel turn was just so he had to put over the top stars. Who knows? You know, only Punk knows. But I did think it was the right move at the time to keep Punk's character fresh and keep his title reign fresh. This one comes from OSK. Any thoughts on the SmackDown women being on the pre-show? I thought the IC title match should have been due to the lack of build on the go-home show. Well, at this point, I think they might have put the SmackDown women's title match back on the main card. At least there's some confusion about that. But the fact is, people are going to complain no matter what. If the IC title match was on the pre-show, for instance, people would complain about that. People are complaining about Austin Aries and Neville. Honestly, I think the SmackDown women's match was thrown together and should have been on the pre-show all along. But maybe with Naomi coming back and getting a big pop, and maybe she's going to win the title back in her hometown, maybe WWE decided that was important, and they decided to put that back on the main card and have Naomi win. If it's on the main card, I think that's a sign Naomi's going to win, because WWE's given that match a higher priority. So it depends. It depends on what WWE is going to do in terms of the matches and how important the matches are. Andre Battle Royal, you know, I think if Strowman's winning it, it should be on the main card, not on the pre-show, but not everything could be on the main card, and WWE wants everybody on the show in some capacity. So I had mixed feelings about it. My hope is that the pre-show matches do have some importance, WWE makes those matches important and the crowd shows up, that people actually get in the building early and are there for those matches. If you have only 10% of the crowd filled up for those matches, it's going to be very embarrassing for the participants involved, like last year with Kalisto and Ryback. But one would think that fans will care about the Andre Battle Royal and Austin Aries and Neville more than Ryback and Kalisto. At least one would hope. That'll do it for this edition of NoDQ&A video, the last one until WrestleMania 33. Again, NoDQ.com is your one stop for everything regarding WrestleMania 33. News, rumors, media, photos, videos, everything you could possibly want to know about WrestleMania, NoDQ.com has it. So stay tuned to NoDQ.com. Check out all the other videos, a lot of content. We did a 15-minute Talk Wrestling panel. We did nearly an hour of predictions for WrestleMania, the NXT predictions. We're going to have a review of the Hall of Fame, a review of NXT, WrestleMania post-show. I'll probably do a video after Raw and SmackDown. It's going to be a very busy week. Normally the busiest week in NoDQ.com for the year, for the calendar year. Busiest week in wrestling, WrestleMania weekend. It is huge. So NoDQ.com, stay tuned for all the latest. Follow the NoDQ.com Twitter account, twitter.com/NoDQDOTCOM, Facebook.com with the same NoDQDOTCOM, Aaron Rift on all social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, I'm everywhere. And that's it. That's it for NoDQ&A video on the road to NoDQ 1000. See you guys next time for more.